Okay, I decided to turn on the camera and say hello to everybody as you sign in. So if you are just joining us and you haven't already, just type in your name and where you're watching from, just so that I can say hello to you and let people who are watching have an idea how far-reaching our yoga class is today. So far we have people from the UK watching us, Janet in the UK. We have people from Raleigh, North Carolina, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We have Brenda from Montreal, and we have Connie from, I guess CT is Connecticut, if I'm remembering my abbreviations. And Lee in Connecticut, and Millie from Winnipeg. Wonder how the weather is up in Winnipeg. We've had nothing but snow and more snow here where I am. I know that Winnipeg is a little bit further north and they get a lot more snow than we do here. Oh, hi, Brenda. Okay, Brenda, I did mail it, and I mailed it almost a week ago. I mailed it, I think you requested it last Tuesday. And I mailed it either on the Wednesday or the Thursday. So hopefully you'll get it soon because, you know, that's our postal service, man. Takes their time getting letters in places. Anyway, it's on its way. Who else have we got checking in? So just for those of you who might be watching that are not familiar with me, my name is Sandra, and this is Northern Zen Yoga. Susan Edwards from Houston. That's why that's right. Last week you had no power in Houston or the internet, obviously. That must have been very, very scary for you. I couldn't even imagine, especially on top of that, you had that terrible cold snap. And when you're not used to it, it can be pretty scary to be in the cold and the dark. Millie says that they're breaking records up in Winnipeg. It's been very lovely in the plus Celsius figures, which means that would be over the freezing mark. That's pretty cool. We haven't hit that yet, but you're supposed to go down to minus 22 Celsius, which is cold. That's pretty cold. It's like -4 Fahrenheit. Joyce is here from Florida. Oh, she says she's just checking in to say hi, and she's going to be watching the video later because she's got exterminators coming. Well, that's a good thing. I hope that they do a good job. So let's see. I'm going to talk to you just for a moment about, I've been receiving on the comment section of the videos, and also either through Facebook Messenger or email, I've been receiving a lot of messages about people's issues with their knees. Now, when you see me sitting here with my knees bent and looking pretty comfortable, you can't imagine that 8 years ago, I would have not been able to do this. My bent knee position probably would have been more like about here. To bring my heels closer to my body was pretty difficult because I was so tight around the knees, and also the hips. The hips have a lot to do with how your knees, how they're able to move as well. So if you can't bend the hips very far, then obviously your knees are not going to be able to bend much further. And then what happens is it's kind of one of those domino effects. When one area of your body stops being able to move freely, it affects other areas of your body, and therefore making them stiffer and harder to move because of the fact the fascia and the ligaments and the tendons and the muscles are starting to shrink and to go toward atrophy. Now, atrophy takes a long time to happen. It's not something that if you just have a lazy weekend, you're going to end up with muscle atrophy. It happens over a long, long period of time. So if you can at least move your legs a little bit and your hips a little bit, you're not really at muscle atrophy yet. It happens very, very quickly when we are in our later years, and I'm talking about in the 80s and so on, if we make it that far. So if you're somewhere between 80 and 50, you still can recuperate your muscles very quickly and your joints. So the important thing to remember, so I don't ramble for too long on this, is that getting these moving takes a long time and a lot of persistence. And being willing to put up with a little bit of aches and pains after the after effects of your yoga practice. The thing that makes people quit, whether it's exercise of any kind or particularly yoga, because it is so effective on the joints, is the fact that the next day or even the same day, and for maybe a couple of days after, they have aches and pains. Their muscles ache, their joints ache a little bit, and more than they normally would. And this immediately, what happens is they say, oh, well, I'm not going to do yoga because I hurt myself doing yoga, or yoga made my knees hurt worse, or my hips hurt worse. You have to understand that there is going to be a period of time where you are going to have to put up with a little bit of that. I did. I had to put up with it for probably the better part of the first 4 months of doing yoga. I could have quit. I could have said, well, no, this yoga thing is not doing, it's making me worse, not better. Even though I could see that my movement was easier, slightly in little increments, but instead I pushed through it. I took care of myself while I was going through that period of time. How do you take care of yourself? If you have a lovely bathtub that you can fill up with water and put the lower half of you into, put some Epsom salts in there. Epsom salts are marvelous for achy muscles and joints. It's because of the magnesium in the Epsom salts that your body can absorb. And give yourself a nice hot soak. If you've got a hot tub or a jacuzzi, bonus. But you don't have to have those fancy things in order to get the relief from the nice hot bath. If you only live in a place with a shower, instead use hot compresses. Get a towel, a small towel, soak it in some seriously hot water and put it onto your knees or your hips and let it rest there until it cools off and then warm it up again. These things help. Other things that help is if you get a really good quality muscle rub. Often at chiropractors, they have muscle rubs there that are not commercial ones that you can buy over the counter, that are not as they have a little bit more of the stuff that you need in it. You can always go to your health naturopath or your chiropractor and see if they sell any specific things like that. Help yourself get through and this particular period of time, this adjustment period where your body is starting to move again, is hurting because it's moving again. And allow yourself to just live with it, because when you come out the other end of it, it is amazing. It really is. Suddenly you have more freedom of movement. And I'm not going to say that you never have an achy day. I have an achy day. I'm 66 years old, so that's just, part of the package at this age. The weather affects my joints. Those things are just, they're going to happen whether you're in fantastic shape or in crappy shape. So, you just have to deal with those things. So take care of your body. If you really, really, really feel like the muscle rubs aren't helping, the hot bath isn't helping, then take a Tylenol or an Advil if you're allowed to with your other medications, and help yourself get through that period of time. You'll thank yourself later for doing it. So I'm just going to check to see if anybody else has checked in. I hear some dings and dings. Okay. Win is here. And she didn't say where she's from, but she says hi to Millie. And Millie says, good morning, Win. All right. So I'm just going to move this a little bit out of the way. I don't know if that's interfering with you guys at all. And I'm going to move my teacup out of the way. Today we're going to be working on our hips, and some of the work we're going to do is also going to be stretching at the knee joint. I want you to follow the golden rule of yoga, and that is we don't go to pain. Achiness we'll live with, but not pain. So you need to modify whatever I'm showing you. I try my best to remember to show as much modification as I can throughout the practice. But once I've told you and you've been watching these videos for a while and you notice what I'm explaining to you about how you can modify, just go right to that place. Just go find that place. You don't have to wait for me to tell you or give you permission to go there. You need to give yourself permission to take care of yourself. I think today's theme is going to be Take Care of Yourself Day. If you don't already have one, make sure you have a block. And a blanket is always handy to keep by you. It's nice to have. At the very least, a bath towel of some kind, like that you could fold up and use it for a small cushion for your head. If you haven't got a bolster or something like that to sit up on, you can fold a blanket up and sit on it. I don't recommend sitting on your block. Some people like to do that. I find it's not very comfortable on my sit bones. And the other thing, you could always use a little throw cushion to sit on. Find a few things. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. If you've been getting my newsletter, I did have a couple of weeks ago an article on doing it on a budget. It's in the beginning anyway, it's worth not spending a whole lot of money till you know you've made a commitment to yoga, and then you can start to invest in fancier stuff. Have some fluid around you so that you can take a drink. My beautiful Monk's Blend tea. Joyce says that there's a good rub that she uses. It's called Penetrex. And you can Penetrex. And if you're watching the chat area there, you can see how it's spelled. Like Penetrex. And you can get it on Amazon, and it's all natural. Having tea, Millie says having a cup of tea is a great asset. Of course it is. Can't do yoga without a cup of tea. So we're going to begin. Now, I'm going to not go into the lying down position immediately. I will join you in a few moments, but I would like to be able to sit up and give you some instruction over what you're going to do. So we're going to be working on the hips particularly. The knees will be involved. Use your own judgment on how you move yourself and how you get yourself into position. And I'll give you a moment to go grab something. We are going to be raising our leg up from the laying down position at some point. If you have a lot of difficulty getting your leg very high up, if you've already discovered that, perhaps you were watching the video last week where we had our legs up in the air, and that wasn't very comfortable for you to get up there without something to help you. You can always grab a scarf. If you've got a special yoga belt, or strap, you can use that. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a leather belt. You can use a scarf, anything like that. If you feel like you can't, at the very least, put your leg up in the air and grab here behind your thigh to stabilize your leg up into the air. So just quickly go get that and then come back. So just a couple of announcements. I want to make sure I tell you this time at the beginning of the class that there is a fee of $5 for the live classes. Now it's on the honor system. I don't chase anybody down for money ever. You can go to my website, www.northernzenyoga.com, And there you'll see a choice on the tabs to go to become a patron. So there you could pay for the class, the $5 class, as you go, if you want to do that every time you join the class. Or there's other options of higher amounts that you could choose if you want to pay for a month's worth or 10 weeks worth, or so on like that. So it's up to you. This is within your means. I by no means want anybody sending me money that can't afford to do that. I don't believe that that is a good way to do business. I think that I give this out to you with my heart, and if you can afford it, you can contribute the $5. And if you can't, then just enjoy this and be part of the experience, because that's more important to me. The other thing I want to remind you about is, if you haven't and you're on the website, to sign up for the newsletter, because the newsletter I send out, usually it's on late Thursday or Friday. I send out and let you know what the classes are that are coming up in the following couple of weeks, so that you can get an idea if that's something you're interested in for joining us, or if you just want to make sure you have the right equipment. So make sure, if you haven't already signed up for the newsletter, that you do that. You have until Thursday to get your name on the list, so that you'll get the next newsletter that goes out. If you sign up after that point, and you will miss this week's going out, but you'll get the next one. The other thing too, I'd like to ask you to do, if you haven't already, we're having a class, and on Thursday, I'll say Friday, we're having a class. And that way you'll get all notifications about what's happening. And we also have a community page. So once you have liked the Facebook page, you can be invited to come and be part of our community page. Now, Northern Zen Community is more about relationship. I'll ask questions, or you can ask questions out to the people who are on the community page, and we can share our answers. I answer questions, but I'm not the only one that can answer questions. If somebody has asked a question or put a question out there, or even I have asked a question, you can always put out what you feel or what your experience has been. It's also there for you if you're going through a rough time. Let us know that you're having a rough time, so that we can be supportive for you. It's a very important thing for me that we, especially women, help to support each other when we're having bad times coming along. You were there for me when my husband had his stroke, and it meant the world to me. It was so amazing, the outpouring of love that came from you all. And I want that for all of you. I want you to all be able to click into that resource. So here I am. I'm talking a lot. I'm just going to say hi to Vicki. She's in snowy Maryland. Well, it's snowy here too. And Millie says that a yoga instructor that she had wouldn't let them drink water in yoga class. That's kind of weird, because maybe they were worrying about getting it spilled on the floor. That's the only thing I can think of, because we don't want anybody to be dehydrated. That's very important, that you keep your hydration up when you're moving around. And I also want to say to Patricia, good morning. Patricia is in Spain. She is in Spain, and I have been emailing Patricia. Buongiorno, Patricia. And that's about all the Spanish I know, and that's probably more Italian. We have been having wonderful conversations, because Patricia is a yoga instructor in Spain. And because of COVID shutdowns, she hasn't been able to get out there as much as she would like to. So she's been joining us from time to time and watching the videos with us. So Margaret says she's glad I'm starting a little later. Well, I don't like, I'm starting a lot late today. I want to make sure that the class starts, everybody is there to watch from the beginning. It's better than having people join in after we've started the beginning process. From beginning to end, it's very important. I would start opening up the live chat we do at this time earlier because I'm usually here in the studio waiting about 9:45. If more people were waiting too, I would turn on the camera and we could chat and then we could start more on time. But I'm not about the time. If you are, I'm sorry if we're going off schedule, but my time is for you. And that if it takes 2 hours to do what we're doing, that's what it takes. So you're welcome, Patricia. She just said thank you for talking about her. Okay, we're going to start now. So I want you, hopefully you've got everything that you need. I want you to lie down on your mat. So at this point, we're going to be here for a while. So if you like, you could take your small blanket that you have and you could put it down onto your mat, especially if your mat is very thin and you're on the floor without a carpet under you. If you've got a carpet underneath you, you're probably going to be cushy enough and you wouldn't want any extra cushioning. But if you're on the floor and you're on wood, put down a blanket underneath you for extra protection for your back. It's just going to make it more comfortable. So you're going to lie down on your back. Oh, Margaret says she had insomnia last night. Well, it must have been going around because I had the same thing. I had a hard time sleeping last night. It might be, I don't know what the moon phase is. I haven't seen the moon for a long time. But could be that. Could be the energy going around the world right now. It's kind of disruptive. In any case, hopefully this practice will help you feel much more calm and relaxed and maybe have a cat nap after. So let's lie down onto the mat. I'm just going to move a few things out the way so that when I join you, you can actually see me. And I want you just to get comfortable there. Bring your knees up to your chest, rock on your back a little bit, because when we first lie down on our back, our body's not ready for that. So we have to help get it softened up a little bit. Make sure if you are feeling like your neck is thrust back a little bit too far and it's not comfortable, that you take that smaller pillow or blanket and you put that just under the back of your head to help to lift up so that your chin is much more in line with your neck and your spine. And then we're going to just rock and roll on our back, getting softer here. And when you feel ready, I want you to come to stillness. And you have a choice here of either lying with your legs stretched out, feet wide apart, or knees bent, feet flat on the floor. For some people, it feels a little better on the low back to do that. But make sure your feet are wide apart so that you would have one foot on each side of your mat. As well as if you're lying on your back with your legs stretched out, make sure your feet are maybe just off the mat on each side. And we're going to place our right hand over our heart. And our left hand, we're going to bring it to our belly, right around where your belly button is. And I want you to become aware of your breath. Don't try to control it or force anything yet. Just notice that you breathe in and you breathe out. And while you're lying here, just relaxing in your breath, try to think of what you would like to attract to your life. And as you think of this thing that you want to attract into your life, make it positive. And make it as if it's already in the present. I have. And for some of you, you might be inclined to say abundance. And if you say abundance, I want you to specify what you want in abundance. I have joy. in abundance. I have love in abundance. I have money in abundance. It's okay to want to attract money to you. Whatever it is that you want in your life, I want a mate. I want a companion. It doesn't matter. There's no judgment on what it is you want to attract into your life. But once you have formed that idea into your mind, then I want you to take the keyword, the thing that you want to attract, and I want you to, in a whisper, say the word with your breath as you exhale. So we'll inhale, exhale, joy. Inhale again, and exhale, saying the word like a mantra, whatever that word is, love. And now as you breathe in and out, I want you to start to expand your breath. When you inhale, push your belly out. Feel it expand. And as you exhale, push it back down, in and up. Let all the air out. Let's do that again. Inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, the breath out. And you can breathe in through your nose and out through your nose if your body allows that. If you have a problem doing that, it's really an issue or your sinuses are blocked up, then you can go in and out through your mouth, but at least breathe in through the nose if you can. Then you won't be drying out your mouth. And we're going to change our pattern of breathing now. So we're going to inhale, expanding the belly out, deep inhale, and we're going to hold. 2, 3, 4. We're going to exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. We're going to do that a couple more times. So you're going to breathe in to the count of 4. You're going to hold your breath to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 4. And hold your breath to the count of 4. So follow your breath. Try to see if you can make it to 4. If you can't, that's okay. Whatever number you can get to, keep it going. Inhaling. Hold. Exhaling. Hold. Inhaling. Hold, exhaling, hold. And now I'd like you to move both of your hands so that they surround your belly button. And I want you to bring your energy and your attention to this area of your body. I don't believe we have any men watching us. They haven't checked in if they are, but for the ladies out there, this is your area. That is the area of your emotions. The area between your hip bones. This is where you grow life. This is what you have throughout the time that you are a woman. Your womb, the girdle that holds newborn life, supports it. And even if you've never had a child, you know that the womb in your body is always talking to you. It dictates your emotions sometimes. It has days where it hurts and days where it's not, days where it's flatter and days where it's puffed out. So we're going to send some beautiful loving energy into that area of our body. We're going to send it love. Because quite often we detest this part of us. We call it a curse. So we're just going to send some love here. Because what surrounds this area of our body is the joints at the top of the leg. We call them the hip joints. And because we tend to send negative energy into this area, or our sorrow is pushed down into this area, or our anger is pushed down here. We get very, very tight and constricted in this area. By doing those emotion movement, we constrict our blood flow, we constrict the chi energy that flows up and down from the brain to the root of our spine. So just send that love there. Breathe into it. Imagine a beautiful orange light illuminating from your hands and lighting up that area of your body. Breathe. And now you can relax your hands down to the sides. And if you have your legs stretched out, I'd like you to bring your legs into a bent knee position. And if you have a problem with bending your knees at this point, make sure you're only bending them until you can feel the discomfort, not any further than that. That's all you need to do. If you have really, really tight hips and knees, you probably have got that strap. So you're just going to lace the strap around the back of your thigh and through so that you can hold on to the strap under your right leg. So we're just going to loop it under the right leg today for now. And I'm going to come down onto the floor now so that you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to get my snap this. Oh, I may have talked to you about snafus. This is a snafu. This is a half moon snafu. You can get ones that are complete moon. Sorry, squirrel. Okay, so we're coming down onto our back. And we're going to bring that right leg up toward the ceiling. And the other leg is bent, just to help stabilize you, help make you feel more relaxed here. And just, if you needed to support yourself a little bit, you can just loop your hands behind your leg, or if you've got your strap. So your leg might be way down here. This is as far as you can lift it up. That's fine. I don't care. Bring it up, though, as high as you can till you feel some pain happening, and then you just back it off into the uncomfortable feeling. So once you've got your leg up here, we're going to start to point our toe toward the ceiling and draw a circle with our toe. So we're going to use the whole leg, starting off very small, making a big circle eventually, but starting off small and working that leg from the hip in a circular motion. And every revolution, you're going to get just a little bit bigger, just a little bit wider. You're going to start to feel your hip get tired from doing this. One more time, we're going to come back to stillness, and then we're going to go the opposite direction. Just making that circle now a little bit smaller as we come around. Till we come back to a very small movement and stillness. So we're going to pull our knee down toward our chest. So if your leg is way out here, you're just going to bend your knee as much as you can toward the direction of your chest. We're going to turn our foot out toward the side and our knee, let it follow. So don't try to turn your foot and not let your knee follow. So you're just going to make a small movement so that your knee and your toe are pointing off to the side. And then you're going to take your strap, if you're using a strap, or you're going to take your hands behind your leg, lacing your fingers. Make sure you're right in about the middle of your leg bone. Don't get too close to the knee. Don't grab your knee. And you're going to gently pull your knee as far as you're able to toward the floor. So Because I'm very flexible, I can bring my knee down quite a bit. But you might only have a small movement, just a little bit. And as long as you get just a tiny micro movement happening, you're doing it. So we're bringing that knee down. Try to keep your foot flat. Don't let your foot point up. And bring that knee down so that the knee is coming down toward your arm. And release. Let's pull it down just a little bit more. And release. One more time. Pulling it down toward our arm. And release. So if your leg was way out here and this was your bent knee position, you may have only done a little movement like this. That's okay. You're still working the hip joint. So we're going to turn our foot and our knee toward the other shoulder now, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to, and this will not be as deep of a movement. It'll be a very small movement, and we're just going to gently bring that knee just a little bit closer to the body. My foot is this way, my knee is this way, and I'm just bringing that in just a little bit. Bring it back to center. I'm going to drop that foot down. Stretch that leg out. Give it a shake if you want, or rock and roll it here. Feel how much more relaxed that hip joint feels. Just stretch out the other leg and feel the difference. That one. So we're going to switch legs now. So we're going to put this foot down. We're going to bring up the other leg. And again, you might find it can come up a little higher on one side than the other. Wherever you have to stop with the leg extension. So here we're going to have maybe a little slight bend in our knee, but it's mostly straightened out. This time the toe is pointed to the ceiling, and we're going to start to draw those circles. Small circle at first, and then starting to get bigger and bigger. Don't go too quickly. Try to see how far out you can make this circle. And then we'll come back to stillness, and we'll go the other way. Now we're going to get just a little bit tighter as we come in the circle. Smaller and smaller. Until we come back to a very tiny circle and stop. Grab behind the leg or use your strap here and pull. We're pulling the knee toward the chest a little bit and releasing it, and then toward the chest and releasing it, and toward the chest and releasing it. One more time. And remember your leg, if it's way out here, you're just trying to pull it in a little bit. And now we're going to turn our foot and our knee toward the opposite side, toward the other arm. And we're going to pull that down toward the floor, flatten your foot out. And release. Pull it down. And release. And even if you're back here, you still have to have the same movement, the same foot direction, the same knee direction, and you're just going to bring it toward you as much as you can. And then we're going to turn our foot and our knee now toward this shoulder, and we're going to try to squeeze the knee in, and this will not be a big movement. It'll be a very, very tiny movement. If you're way out here, same thing. Just a little bit of a movement. And stretch your leg out, drop it back down. Let your legs relax for a moment, shake them out. Now we're going to be doing a supine twist here for the hips. Now we're going to roll onto the hip itself. So if I'm rolling this way, I'm going to try to land right on my hip and my shoulders are going to try to keep down onto the floor. So you may not make it to the floor, but we're going to bring our knees up. Going to pull them in as close as we can get to the body. So even if you're here, even if this is it, and you're going to just roll yourself over onto that hip. Try to keep your other shoulder touching down. And we're going to put our hand on the top, especially if you're like me and you've got this gap automatically happening, and we're just going to gently try to bring our knees closer together. If you're way, way, way apart, it's all about just feeling that stretch that's happening. And it'll happen right back in here, right around the big muscle joint. So even if one leg will hit the floor, but the other one doesn't, maybe both of your legs don't quite hit the floor, you're just pulling the knee toward the other knee just enough to feel the stretch. Let's come back up to center. And we're going to drop them to the other side. And again, we're just going to place our hand on our big bone here, not on our knee joint. And we're going to help that leg come a little bit closer, just till we feel the stretching happening in here. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Make sure you're not holding your breath when we're doing this. And let's bring it back up again. Rock on your back. We'll roll over to one side and slowly get yourself into an upright position, coming onto your hands and knees. Now, the other thing people have been talking to me about the knees is, well, my knees will bend because, they're not the greatest, but they do bend. But I have a hard time with feeling the intense pressure I feel on my knee bones when I'm down onto the mat. So there's a few things you can do. The first thing, of course, is to get an extra thick mat. They do have them. Jade Mat sells them. B Yoga sells them. Half Moon Yoga sells them. They're the thickest mat. They'll have different thicknesses on the choice selection. You look for the one that's the thicker one, and you'll have one that's about roughly, I would say, almost a ½ inch thick. Now, the other thing you can do, because they're expensive, and you don't want to have to go out and start spending $125 on a mat, you can get very inexpensive mats at places like Marshall's, Winners. The other place I bought mats at, and they're only $4 a mat, is at the dollar store. So whether you're in Canada or the US, there's dollar stores, and they have a lot of stuff in there, and not everything is $1. But the yoga mats that they carry are roughly around $4. So that's not a very expensive mat, and you can cut that mat up. You can take strips, maybe about 6 or 8 inches, depending on what width you would feel most comfortable with for your knees. And you could cut that mat up into strips and pile the strips up until you find your comfort zone. If you want to do something that's maybe a little more sophisticated, you can actually buy beautiful gel pads that are specifically for kneeling on. And they come in a pair, and you could put them on the yoga mat and kneel onto them. The other thing you could always use is you could go to the renovation stores, home decorating stores, and you could see if they sell the knee pads that you would need if you were putting flooring down, which I think are made from more of a styrofoam, and they have bands that you can wrap around your knee. So there's lots of options there if just kneeling down is not comfortable. So find your option. You can always use your blanket. Of course, I find blankets, unless they're a really soft, cushy one, sometimes they're not that nice on your knees either. So whatever you need, we're going to get on our knees. Hands and knees. The hands should be just beneath the shoulders, the knees beneath the hip. And we're going to have at least, we're going to have at least a fist width between our knees, so they're not tight together. And we're going to come into child pose. So we're going to touch our toes together, drop our toes down to the floor. We're going to widen up, and we're going to start to push back. So as you push back into child pose, I want you to find your place where you can tolerate the stretch. Keep your head up, and we're just pushing back against our hands, trying to bring our bottom down toward our heels. And then we're going to come back up again. And we're going to push back again. Push back, until we can come back as far as we're able to. So we're working both the knees and the hip joint. So for some of you, it may only be this far. And you're feeling it. And it's not good. It's not feeling good. As long as it's not pain, that's where you stop. This is where you stop and you breathe here. If you're here, you stop and breathe here. And if you can make it all the way down to your heels, you stop here. And we're going to breathe for a few seconds. And then we're going to come back up. Let's bring our knees closer together. We're going to do the same thing with our knees a little closer now. Push back, push back, push back. Find the place where you have to stop. It may only be a little movement and you go, whoa, that's too far. It's hurting my hips, hurting my knees. Otherwise, you're going to push back until you can get as close as you are able to get to your heels. Notice my head is up. I don't care about putting my head down to the floor yet. Come back up again, and let's push back one more time. Come back as far as you can come back. And we're going to breathe here for a few breaths. And come back up onto all fours. So I'm going to face you now so that you can see what I'm going to do. And I'm going to come up onto my knees. So I'm in an upright position. My knees are still slightly separated for balance. They should be roughly under your hips. And I'm going to pick up this one leg and I'm going to bring it out to the side. So I want to push my foot into the floor. I want to try to get my foot down as flat as I can. My leg as stretched out as far as I can. So this may not feel very good for you. You might feel like you have to have something here, maybe. So this is where your block comes in. You can use your block to help balance you as you straighten out your leg to the side, putting your foot onto the floor, and then you're going to try to push yourself a little more upright. So we're working this joint right in here. If you're really far out in order to get your legs straight, just work on using the block to help you to come just a little more upright. For those of you that don't need the block, that you can feel it quite comfortable here, you're working on pushing your foot out at the side, making sure it's coming down flat to the floor. And we're going to take a little side bend. So if you're in this awkward position where you're needing the block to hold you because you can't come upright, your hip won't bend, you can just ignore this next part. This part is for those that are able to come upright and balance without the block. We're going to inhale our arm up and we're just going to take a little side bend. So we're going to start to feel, keep your foot pushed into the floor. We're going to start to feel that joint just work a little harder, and you're going to get a stretch up here, of course. And come back down again. One more time, inhale up. We're going to look down our leg and come back up. I'm going to switch sides now. So come back to your knees, and then we're going to extend out the other leg. For those of you that are upright, you're working on pushing your foot nice and flat onto the floor and coming up as straight as you can so that you have this hip engaged right here in this joint. For those of you that are having difficulty coming upright, you're going to use your block here again, and you're just going to press your fingers into the block and just try to get yourself to move just a little bit, just enough to feel that stretch. If you're here, you just don't feel very stable, you can always keep the block beside you. Pushing our foot into the floor, foot is parallel to the mat. I'm going to inhale this arm up and take a little side bend. Now, if you are not in the upright position, don't worry about the side bend. Exhale down. Inhale up again, look down your leg. And exhale down. Let's come back to all fours. And we're going to come into hero pose. So this is hero pose. Coming down into hero pose. I want you, if you have the difficulty getting your knees to bend so that you can sit on your heels, I want you to use your block. So you've got lots of sides on this block. So if you're really very tight, just put the block between your feet and perch yourself on the top of the block. So you see this is acceptable. Show you side view. This is okay. So you see I only have not very big bend here. If you can't do this, you can skip this one. If you think you could go a little deeper, block has the next side. And after this, well, you're sitting on your heels. So we're going to come into hero pose. And we're basically just going to breathe here for a few minutes, bringing our torso nice and straight, bringing our shoulders back and down. We're going to inhale the arms up. Bring our palms together, pulling the palms down together toward heart center. And just breathe here. If you find this is super, super easy, this is way too easy, it's really not stretching much at all, this is where you can go into the next level of hero pose. And we can separate the feet. So I'm going to just flip around, separate the feet, and we're going to come down to the floor between the heels. So, word of warning. If you feel anything happening, any uncomfortable stretching going on in the joint of your knee, when you start to do that, you must stop. That particular position does put a little bit of twist into the knee joint. So if you're not going down super easy into that position, that's not for you, it's not available for you because you start to feel your knees starting to have discomfort, going toward pain here. You need to not do it that way. Just sit on your heels and you have to be happy with that for now. Sometimes you stay in this sitting on your heels position for a while before you can go down between the feet. So it's okay. From here, we're going to come into a seated position. So you have the option here of putting your blanket underneath your bottom just to lift up your hips a little higher. Or if you have a cushion, again, you could always sit on your block. Not the most comfortable thing to do, but we'll come on to our bottom here. So I'm going to take my blanket and roll it up a little bit more. And I'm going to come into a seated position. So we've done these ones a few times before. We've done the half butterfly. So we're going to go through the half butterfly and then we're going to do the full butterfly. So half butterfly, the leg is extended right out in front of you, not to the side, right out in front. And if you have an issue with flattening out your leg, if your knee that's the only kind of bend you can get in your knee, Just go where you can go. If it feels very uncomfortable and you have another cushion handy, you can shove that underneath here to support your leg. But it should be something that's squishy so that when you lean forward, you're going to encourage your knee to flatten out a little bit. Legs straight out in front, the other leg. Now remember, we've done this a lot of times together. If this is your half butterfly, this is your half butterfly. If this is as far as this knee will bend. Slowly, you're going to start working on bringing that heel closer and closer. You might end up getting the heel a lot closer, but your hip won't fall open. That is going to be gravity. Gravity will help you with that over time. There's not too much you can do that gravity won't help, okay? So don't worry about it. If you're way up here like this, eventually, ultimately, as you continue your yoga practice, this knee will fall out till it looks a lot more like mine. When I started, this was my half butterfly. I could bend my knee this much, but my hip was so tight it wouldn't fall down. So there's hope for you. Now, I want you to also remember, for some of you, you may not be aware of this, but I only started doing yoga at age 50, well, almost 58. I was 57 and 2 months away from my birthday. And so that's only about 8 years ago. And this is in 8 years. Well, it didn't take 8 years to get to here, but this is what yoga did for me. Now, in the forward fold, we have to worry about only getting our belly to touch our thigh, not our head anywhere. This is about getting that hip joint to work. So if you just kind of rock a little bit forward, just rocking on your big cheek of your bottom, you'll kind of get the idea what I'm talking about. This is a hip movement. So the hip bone here, we want to bring it down to touch down on the thigh bone down here. So take a deep breath in. You can stretch up through the rib cage if you like. A lot of yogi teachers say, inhale, stretch up through the rib cage. If that doesn't feel comfortable for you, you don't have to do that. Just inhale up, and on the exhale, we're focusing on bringing that hip to that bone. That's it. You're going to feel the back of your leg react to this as we stretch the hamstring in the back. We're stretching out some of the muscles that are in behind the hip into the glutes, the hamstring that comes and wraps itself around the back deep into the bone. And that's all we're focusing on, is just bringing that belly down. Take a deep breath in, come up just a little bit, not all the way up. Exhale, relax back down again. See if it drops just a little further this time. Inhale up, push up against your fingers, just lifting up a tiny bit. Exhale, come back down again. One more time. Inhale up, exhale, release. See if you can come just a little deeper. If you're not feeling much of a hamstring stretch, try flattening your foot out, pointing your toes up toward the ceiling. And slowly come up. Use your hands to push you up. Shake that leg out, and let's switch sides. And so because each side of our body is just a little bit different, you might find that you have a better flexibility in this hip joint than the other one. So play around with that, or it could be worse. Again, you can stretch up through the rib cage if you like, reaching up high. Inhale, exhale, bringing your hip and your belly forward to meet your thigh. Just breathe here for a second. Feel the stretching. Feel where it's coming from. Inhale up slightly. Exhale, come back down. Inhale up just a little bit. Exhale, release back down. One more time. Inhale up just a little. Exhale, release. And just breathe here. Nice, big, long, deep breath. Notice where you're feeling the stretch, and if the stretch in the back of your legs starts to go away, point your toes up toward the ceiling, flatten your feet out. Bringing that back again, that little bit more intensity in the hamstring stretch. And come back up slowly. Shake that leg out. So now we're going to come into the full butterfly. So for you, your butterfly might be here. That's okay. But for the rest of us, we're going to start to bring those heels as close as we can toward our groin. So this is not cobbler pose. This is butterfly. And the hip stretch in here is pretty intense. You can feel it. We're pushing the hip joint out. We're going to just flutter our wings. Just flutter them a little bit. Very gently. And we're going to take an inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to push our knees to the floor. Try to get them in the direction of the floor. Now, if you're sitting up on a little cushion like I am, you're probably not going to hit the floor unless you're really super flexy in your hip joints. If you're sitting on your mat, you might feel like you get a lot closer. And we're going to release, and we're going to flutter our wings again, just bouncing very gently, very lightly. Take another inhale, exhale, push the knees toward the floor. So the intensity starts to grow in the groin area. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Very important. And release. Flutter them one more time. Inhale up. Exhale. Push them toward the floor. Push them, push them, push them. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath as you do this. And release. Help your knees up. Stretch them out. Shake out your legs. Now we're going to extend out our right leg. We're going to take our left leg. We're going to pick it up and we're going to bring it across to the floor. Now, some of you may not be able to make it to the floor, or your knee may not bend very far. You might be here. You might have to have the block under here to help you. I am totally aware of the limitations of the hip joint when it's tight. So I give you full permission to find whatever prop you have to get yourself to the point where you can get your foot over your leg and feel a stretch in your hip. It's important that we feel the stretching. It's important that we feel that pulling, that tenseness that's happening. If you were just putting your foot over and it's feeling like nothing, then you need to start to bring that foot back toward the other hip. And then we're going to put our hands across our thigh and our calf muscle, and we're going to pull that knee up toward the chest. We want to get the stretch feeling right in here. But if you're out here and you're already feeling your hip joint stretching, trying to make that movement happen, or you're up on the block to get your foot over, then that's fine. You don't have to do anything else. Just work on that. And release. Let's go the other side. So we're going to bring this foot over. I'm going to bring it to the other side. Place it flat on the floor if it's possible. If you're feeling your hip tense and stretch now, you're probably good here. If you need to, again, anywhere you need to put that foot in order to get your leg over the leg. And if you are not feeling anything, you're going to, again, lace your fingers and pull the knee toward the chest until you feel it right down in here. And we're going to release. Shake out your legs. We're going to come into rock the baby. So similar, you can bend one knee if you like to support yourself here. We're going to grab our foot and we're going to grab our thigh bone and we're going to bring the leg up toward the chest. So you're just going to come as far as you can. If you're here and you're feeling it, then you're doing it. For anybody else, you've got to bring it, bring it, bring it. You don't want to twist your knee, so you want to make sure this part is totally straight. So you can even put your elbow here firmly against your shin bone, and you can bring up the leg toward the chest. If you're down here, same thing, you want to support that. You don't want any torquing going on in your knee. We're just going to bring that leg up a little closer to the body. Stretch it out, shake it out. Let's go on this side, same thing. Grab your foot, and we're pulling the whole leg up toward the chest. And wherever you're at on this side, as long as you're feeling it, remember, you're doing it. And release. Shake out those hips. So now we are going to go into cobbler pose. You can stay up on your cushion if you like, or you can go flatter onto the floor. For me, for cobbler pose, I like to be a little flatter down on the floor. And in this particular pose, like butterfly, our feet are together. You might be here, just like you were in butterfly. That's fine. The object is different. This time we're going to do a forward fold in toward the floor. So the closest, though, you want to be is one handprint. So you want to be able to put your hand down by your groin and have your fingertips touch your heel. Don't go any closer than that. We want to bring our belly down into this area that we have left. This particular pose, if you can get your heels as close as I am and it feels fairly comfortable, you can add to this by opening up the feet toward the ceiling so they're like a book. Straighten out your back, nice straight back, inhale, exhale, keep your chin up and bring your belly down. Pushing your belly down between the hips. Breathe. Nice deep breaths. Inhale slightly up. Exhale, come back down. Inhale just a little bit higher. Exhale, come down. One more time. Inhale just a little bit. Exhale, push back down again. Coming back down. Holding it here. Breathing, breathing. And very slowly come back up. Push into the floor, push into your feet, however you want to get back up again. We're going to help our knees. Straighten our legs out, shake them out. So we've done a lot of work in that joint. Everything we have done is got the rotation of the hip joint moving. Expect to feel discomfort later or tomorrow. If you don't, maybe you didn't push yourself as far as you probably could have toward that uncomfortableness. But for now, it's time to relax back down onto our mat. So I want you to get back down into a lying down position. And I want you to bring your knees up. You can put your blanket over top of you this time if you like. We're going to come into Shavasana. So as you get down on your back, because you've been bending forward quite a bit, bring those knees up again. Roll on your back. Roll side to side, or maybe go into circles. If you're able to, come into what's called happy baby. Hanging onto your thighs, bring your feet flat to the ceiling and just rock gently. Pull your knees down. If you can grab the soles of your feet, pull your knees deeper down toward your body. Go and do that. Don't be surprised if you release a little gas when you do this. And once you're comfortable, I want you to start to stretch out. Open your legs wide, open your arms wide. Let your palms face upward, ready to receive. And I'm going to take you through a little guided meditation. You worked very hard on your hips. So I'm going to give you some time to really relax and take yourself deep into your meditation. Begin to breathe in and out slowly. And with each exhale, imagine your body is starting to relax and melt down. Every time you exhale, your body becomes softer. More of your body comes in contact with your mat as you melt into the floor. And as you begin to melt toward the floor, little shoots start to come out through your body, little silver threads, and anchor themselves down into the ground. Making sure your body stays where it is as you float away. Let your jaw relax. Let your eyes relax. Let your breath begin to relax. We're going to float away to a place where we find ourselves standing in a grassy field. Some beautiful farmland. It's summer, the sun is high, you can feel the warmth of it on your skin. The wild grasses and flowers are up to your hip. And as you pass your hands through them, you feel the coolness of the grass, in contrast to the heat that you feel on your skin. Feel your feet as they ground themselves down into the earth. The moistness of the earth as the tall grass protects the ground from the sun. Close your eyes, turn your face up toward the sun, and listen to the sounds around you. Birds off in the distance, insects buzzing around the flowers. And slowly you notice there's a house out in the distance. There's no path, so you're just going to walk through the grass, heading in the direction of that house. As you walk there, notice the colors you see around you, the colors of the flowers. Can you smell their aroma? What other aromas can you smell in the air? Warm grass, the earth beneath your feet as you walk through the tall grasses and stomp the grasses down. And soon you arrive at the house and you notice there's no sidewalk. It's just grasses going right up to the steps that go up onto the veranda. So you still make your way through the grass and then climb the stairs up to the veranda and have a look around. What do you see there? What do the windows look like? Is there a chair? Is there a table? Is there a swing? And you walk up to the door. It's a beautiful door, old door. The knob is very interesting. And you try it and it opens. And you step inside and immediately feel the difference in the temperature of the house being so much cooler and fresher than out in the sun. And you walk into the entranceway and you look around. There are several rooms in this house, all for you to explore. But when you decide which room you would really like to sit in or be part of, that's where you're going to go and go deeper into your meditation. Perhaps you'll find a book that you're going to pick up and read. Perhaps you're going to meet somebody in the house that you're going to have a conversation with. Whatever you want to do in this house is up to you. I'm going to leave you here for a few minutes while you explore and discover what is in this house and who you may meet. I'll let you know with the chimes when it's time to start coming back. It's time to leave the house. I'm going to head back out the door, down the stairs that lead you into the field, the grassy field, starting to make your way back to where we started. And as you head back, take another moment to notice what's around you, the sensations you feel, the smell, the sounds, until you arrive back at your starting place. Lie back down on your mat. And when I sound the chime, you're going to start to wake up, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Give yourself a lovely long stretch, stretching your body out. And then bring your knees up to your chest and hug them in as close as you can get them. And just say, thank you, body. Thank you for all that you do for me every day. And then when you feel ready, just roll over to one side and take just a few more breaths there, just for you. Just for you. No demands. And once you feel ready, slowly make your way back up to a seated position, whatever seated position feels good for you right now. And join me as we close the class. We'll close this class by chanting one beautiful Om. We'll take a breath in and out first, and then exhaling on the Om. Doesn't have to be good, just has to come from your heart. So let's take it. Inhale, exhale, inhaling for Om. Om. Rub your palms together, generating your life force, your energy, your chi, your prana. And as you do this, think about those hips. We're going to send this energy right down into them. Close your eyes, place your palms over your closed eyes, and when you open them, breathe in. Feel it go right down to the hips. On your exhale, palms to ceiling. Send the energy back out to the universe. Scoop up just a little bit. Bringing it back to heart center. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. I hope that was good. I hope you enjoyed that. It's a little bit different. I want to let you know now is the time that you have any questions about anything we did during the class or anything else that you would like to ask me about. Now is the time to do that before we sign out. I just want to let you know that that the Wisconsin hummingbird, who didn't give me her name again, she told me that she had a gel pad seat that she used in a wheelchair, and she changed it into something to kneel on to do yoga. And it's definitely helped her get her knees feeling much more comfortable and being able to get them bent better. So there's lots of options, lots of memory foam things out there you can maybe convert into a knee pad. Patricia had to leave us during the practice. She had something to do. The time difference is quite different in Spain from here. And Susan and Millie are just saying goodbye. I hope you have some questions. I like that part of at the end of the class where people ask questions, because it helps me to be able to explain to you stuff without like 20 people emailing me and asking me the same question. Millie said that the class was exactly what she needed. I'm so glad. I'll give you guys a few more minutes. I see people are still on watching. So ask that question. I know you probably are thinking, oh, it's probably a stupid question. Or probably, you've answered this before. It's okay. Just fire it away. Don't worry. There are no stupid questions. Margaret's saying, namaste to us all. Thanks. She liked the workout. Suzanne as well, thanking me for the workout. I don't think these live chat things stay on the board after I close it, which is kind of too bad. Hi, Nancy. Glad to see you're back with us. And anybody else got a question? No questions today? When you were doing the half butterfly, it caused you discomfort in your other hip. Are you talking about the bent knee or the straight leg? Janet's pretty much saying the same thing, that she feels it in the bent leg hip. Yes, you're going to feel, actually the half butterfly, you feel it in both hips. The extended leg, quite often you feel more, the sensation that you feel most dominant is your hamstring pull. So it kind of blocks the sensation of the hip being pressed down. But the folded knee, this part of being folded in, this is much more of an intense stretch for that hip. So the actual half butterfly does two things. It stretches the hip joint on the opposite leg, and it stretches the hamstring on the extended leg, and a little bit of the hip, of course, on that leg as well. So even though it's like half of the butterfly pose, you're getting that bonus of the hamstring stretch. Yeah, the bent leg is one you probably will feel the most discomfort in, because depending on where your bent leg is in space is depending on what gravity is doing to it. So when you first start out, perhaps you're here. Even if you can get your heel quite close, you might be here. What's keeping your leg from falling to the floor is the tightness in the hip joint. The fascia has connected itself and is shrunk, and so it's not allowing your leg to fall down freely. That is what's going to start to pull, as well as any shortened tendons and ligaments. If you're much looser in the hips, you're going to definitely, Dottie, feel it much more in the hamstring extension. For me, when I do this forward fold, the only thing keeping me from putting my face down and kissing my shins is my hamstrings, because I get to about here and I can feel them really talking to me. So I could push further, but then I might risk tearing something in the back of my leg. So this is where I let gravity do it, because once I'm here for a few breaths, that intensity starts to diminish because the hamstring is stretching. So then I can come up and go down, and I'll go down a little deeper into the stretch. I'll start to feel the hamstring again, but now I'm feeling it in a different place than I was before. Hopefully that helps. Any other questions about the hip stretches we did today? Any questions about being overweight and doing yoga? A lot of people are talking to me about I'm kind of fat, so I can't really do yoga properly. No, it's not your fat that's stopping you. It's your tight joints that are stopping you. It's usually it's always, not usually, it's always the joint, the stretchability of the tendons and ligaments that are attached to the joint that prevent you. I just gotta I got a tickle in my throat. Got a little bit too dry talking. Sorry. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to go so I can have my hack attack. All right, everybody. Any other questions you think of down the road, email me, message me on Facebook. Tell your friends to join you. See you next time. Bye for now. Love you.